Drive, a brief history of sex ed in America, which brings us to sex ed in Ohio. Ohio Sex Fact. In 2007, high school students in Ohio who reported ever having sexual intercourse was 44% female, and 45% male, compared to 46% female and 50% male high school students nationwide. Translated, this means there are as many sexually active teens in Ohio as the nationwide average, and that is a lot of sex. According to, Ohio education can be summed up in one word, and that's abstinence. Abstinence is the answer to any sexual indiscretion. According to the Guttmacher organization's Ohio State Profile on State Policy, abstinence from sexual activity is the only protection that is 100% effective against unwanted pregnancy, sexually transmitted disease, and the sexual transmission of a virus that causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Contraception is not discussed in the classroom. The material is not required to be medically accurate or age appropriate, and parents have the right of refusal to take their child out of a partial or a total amount of the class education material. There are a few reasons why abstinence programs are very popular in Ohio. One is because they're federally funded. Two, they are socially, politically, and religiously neutral. They're safe. And three, they're family friendly. The Sex Etc. website, which is sponsored by Rutgers University in New Jersey, reports that in 2008, Ohio received over $6 million in federal funds for abstinence only until marriage programs. According to the AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland, despite the lack of sound supporting science, abstinence only until marriage programs have grown rapidly in Ohio, and due to the ineffectiveness of these programs, one must question why these federal funds are being so generously allocated without much measure of success. Advocates for Youth say analysis of data from youth risk behavior surveys found that sexual activity among high school youth declined significantly prior to federal funding, but changed little with federal funding. Abstinence or not, the decision as to whether or not to teach sex education as a subject, what topics are covered, and at which grade level they are introduced is a decision of the local school board. A subject that is covered is STI and HIV education. What started out as a way to avoid pregnancy has now shifted to the subject of sexually transmitted infections, which has a greater risk of health and consequences. Currently, Ohio Sex Fact. In the United States age group 15 to 19, Ohio ranks, and these are in reported cases, 9th in gonorrhea, 11th in chlamydia, 12th in syphilis, and 12th in AIDS of cases reported between the ages of 13 and 19, which is disturbing. And this shows the great need for education. There is a relatively new concept that is hitting the schools in Ohio, and it's called the Responsible Sexual Behavior Education Initiative. Currently in place in the Cleveland Metropolitan District schools since 2002, the program outlines 117 critical health objectives, which include responsible sexual behavior, and utilizes two national programs as its premise. One is from the Center for Disease Control, and the other is from the Surgeon General. It has been my experience that teens are not looking for community sources in education about this subject until they have a reason to be, whether it's a teen pregnancy or an STI HIV scare. There are many federal, state, and local organizations that have services on education, counseling, crisis intervention, and social services, and here are just a few of our local options. Planned Parenthood. Currently, Ohio ranks 27th in the United States for teen pregnancy rates, just under the national average of 70. Planned Parenthood is not just for pregnancy anymore, and it's not just for women anymore. If you take a look, if you take a look at the window here where it says protect yourself, right there, it says more than half of all of us will get an STD at some time in our lives. And that's a scary thought. And if it was one of you, would you know what to do and where to go? Planned Parenthood boasts 840 health care centers nationwide and offers information and services on birth control, emergency contraception, pregnancy, relationships, sex and sexuality, STIs, and men and women's health issues, among others. Mahoning County 211. This is the help hotline for our area. It is free, it's available 24/7. It gets you connected with the people who can connect you to the services in our community. The most important thing about 211 is that it is not for emergency situations. There's also the Mahoning County District Board of Health, where public health nurses act as consultants and teachers in the prevention and control of communicative disease transmission. We've got the Ohio Department of Health. Family Planning Title X services give priority to families with low income and people who have insurance issues. They also offer these services on the state and local level. Given the problems with sexual responsibility, the fact remains that education is the most important first step. Traditional educators right now are offering information on abstinence only. But what about prevention and communication and testing and the rest of it? We do have Planned Parenthood 211. We have these services local to us, but we also have our parents and our local doctor, although they are probably much harder to approach. We do have comprehensive sex education programs that are being implemented in our school system, and we can only hope that they become more widely accepted and realized. Because this way, we can equip our adolescents with all of the critical and necessary tools they need to better manage teen pregnancy and the sexual transmission of infection. And now to Sylvia.
Thanks, Deb. After much discussion in our group, we've decided that this complex problem is best solved by combining all our solutions. Communication is very important. Partners, parents, communities all need to talk. Politicians, school administrators, and clergy people all need to talk. And we as a society need to come together to solve this problem, because it is not about money or funding or politics. It is a social and cultural problem. And society needs to stop ignoring it and pretending that it will go away. They need to face the reality, like Deb said, that about 60% of all high school students are sexually active. This proves that the abstinence-only programs are not working. Prevention needs to be taught, not just mentioned in passing in some 7th grade health class. And sex education needs to be uniform. It needs to be taught nationwide, not just in the 22 states that now mandate it. And Ohio happens to be one of those states that does not mandate sex education in its schools. The HIV and STI problem needs to be recognized. It needs a national spokesman like a Bono or a Bill Clinton or an Oprah to stand up and say, this is a problem in this country, not just in Africa and the third world. If we stand up and recognize the problem, we can talk about it. And by talking about it, we can solve it. We believe that communication, prevention, and education are the keys to solving the problem of sexual responsibility or irresponsibility, as the case may be. But this begins with each one of us. According to Tabor's Medical Encyclopedia, the age group of 18 to 25 is the most affected age group in this country for sexually transmitted infections. The I'm invincible, risk-taking attitude that's found in this age group makes it very vulnerable. And that age group accounts for many of you sitting today in this classroom. So we hope that you consider what we have presented and consider the options and alternatives when you're becoming sexually active, when you're involved in a sexual relationship. Spouses need to start talking. Sex partners need to start talking. Parents and children need to start talking. Teachers and students need to start talking. So the next time your mom or your dad or your boyfriend or your girlfriend want to talk about the subject of sex, don't get embarrassed, don't fidget, don't turn red, and don't walk away. Sit down and say, okay, let's talk. You will be glad that you did, because sex
Is
everyone's responsibility.
Very clever ending.
Yeah, I don't think.